I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that many studio executives will be taking note at just how poorly Doom the Dark Ages has been received at the $70 premium price point and how it's completely failed when compared against not just other Doom games, but current games that are coming out right now that are a lot cheaper. What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of Smash JT. Doom the Dark Ages is out, and honestly, it's pretty good. I've been playing it, and I'm about 8 or 9 hours into it. I think I'm about halfway through the game. Overall, game is about 18 to 20 hours, people are saying, to get through most of it. And yeah, it's a lot of fun. Is it $70 fun? No, and that's where the problem is. Hit that subscribe, give me a like, and check out smashjt.com for the full article breaking down how Doom the Dark Ages is the canary in the coal mine for AAA gaming, and how raising the prices should scare off these executives. Doom the Dark Ages was supposed to be a slam dunk, a legendary franchise, a proven studio, and a marketing push from Microsoft that put the game front and center on Game Pass. But instead of getting the expected incoming roaring success, the game has limped out of the gate, and the reason why should be a dire warning for the entire AAA game industry. And while playing through the game, I'm telling you guys, it's checking all the boxes. In a good way. Like, I don't check boxes when I play games. I probably should use different terminology. On paper, Doom the Dark Ages is having everything you want. Dragons, cosmic gods, metal soundtracks, and mechs. But in practice, it's shipped as the lightest Doom package yet, housing about a 20-hour single-player campaign, give or take, with no multiplayer, no custom map features, no roguelike mode, and no meaningful post-launch content roadmap, and nothing that we know about coming down the pipe for this game as of right now. So sure, it's a very fun game. In fact, I'm loving my time with it. But again, I keep going back to $70 worth of fun? No. Not quite. Compare this just to Doom 2016 having to offer initially launching a snap map, PvP, multiplayer, and mod support, or even Doom Eternal, which added expansions and battle mode. Dark Ages launched at a higher price than both of those, with far less to offer. Oh, and it was also day one Game Pass as well, which is something the other games didn't have. And that's going to be eating into a little bit of the sales. But as we've seen with other games like Clair Obscur and Oblivion coming to mind, that both launched on Game Pass day one, and both are doing very well on Steam at the same time. So Game Pass does not kill a game kills a game. You get way more replayability, far more content, customization, and a better overall experience, one could argue, specifically from Expedition 33, which at this point is my game of the year, and it's kind of far and away at that point. And that game launched at $50 USD and was on sale the first week for 45 bucks USD. And the game is absolutely fantastic. And sure, an action RPG with parry mechanics might not be for everyone, but I'd venture to guess there's a heavy overlap between the Expedition 33 crowd and the Doom crowd. And most people are looking at both games saying, yeah, no, I'm going to go with the cheaper option that is far better. Oh, and by the way, you're gonna need a pretty decent PC to even run Doom the Dark Ages, which I would think is gonna be turning off a good amount of people as well. I've heard plenty of people argue that whole, well, Doom the Dark Ages is on Game Pass, so of course fewer people have bought it. And while that's true for Xbox, it doesn't explain why Steam player count showing up on SteamDB are beyond abysmal, to put it nicely. Just comparing Doom the Dark Ages right now with an all-time peak after the first week of launch at 31,470 people, it is, give or take, around 30% less than Doom Eternal's max player count at launch, which was 104,891 people. And my overall takeaway with looking at the situation for what it is that having Game Pass visibility doesn't save a game from its poor perceived value. Players outside of subscription ecosystems still expect some serious bang for their buck, which makes me take a step back from all of this and wonder, Well, since Microsoft bought its software under the Bethesda and ZeniMax overall umbrella and brought it into their ecosystem, and we're like, yeah, we can make a Game Pass game with Doom, and it doesn't need to have all these bells and whistles. It just needs to have the straight up game of Doom, and people will just play it or buy Game Pass and play it on that. We don't need to go out of our way to make an incredibly vast, superior game to the previous ones because at the end of the day, Microsoft just wants more games to go on Game Pass, which ultimately can end up hurting the product in the long run. This is the first Doom game under the launch of Microsoft's full control, since they purchased its software under ZeniMax Media's umbrella when they bought that whole thing a few years ago. And when I talk about Microsoft purchasing ZeniMax, I kind of already forgot about that. What with the Blizzard Activision purchase and seemingly every indie studio out there as well. It feels like Microsoft is just buying every single game studio that they possibly can, which sounds great if you want to get every game on Game Pass. But if it means watering down the experience and not having developers go out of their way to make sure their game is the best game possible to sell to you, that means at the end of the day, gamers are getting a worse product, less of a product for their purchase, and for more money if they don't go on Game Pass. Oh, and even worse, this all comes right before all those conveniently planned industry-wide price hikes that I've been pretty pissed about. And I know I'm not alone about that either, with Microsoft and Nintendo both floating around the $80 to $90 USD price point for games in the future being the new norm to expect. But if Doom the Dark Ages is any indication, their strategy here is heading into being doomed. I'm sorry, that sounded better when I wrote it down. And a couple of days ago, that's starting to make the rounds right now, is on Games Radar. I saw that Shohei Yoshida, the former PlayStation executive, claimed that those $70 to $80 USD price points are a steal as long as you choose carefully. And when I hear someone that is a high up former executive saying you should be grateful to pay more money for a game, I can't help but laugh because holy crap, how out of touch with your customer do you have to be to think that charging more is a good thing, especially if you're getting less for what you're spending?
What do you think about the price increase in games recently, from 60 to 70 and then now to 80? Do you have any words of hope for the gamers because gaming is getting more and more expensive?
Well, when you look at the life in general, other products in price have increased, way more than the game price. So I think it was almost, too late for the video game companies to start looking at the pricing structure. And in terms of, high actual price of $70 or $80 for really great games, I think it will still be a steal. So as long as people choose carefully, how they spend their money, I don't think they should be complaining about.
As far as me, yeah, no way. No way am I going to be paying full price for this latest Doom game. I was fortunate enough to have it gifted to the channel like so many games lately. You guys have been absolutely insane with what you're sending me. Thank you. I genuinely appreciate it. But I have to step out of being the YouTuber guy where people gift me games and think of this from a consumer standpoint of, would I have spent $70 on this new Doom game day one to be able to play it right away for people? And I would have said, nah, not really. I was fully enveloped with Clair Obscur Expedition 33, and I had to step away from that to jump into Doom to experience it and see what it's like before I can get back to Expedition 33 after this. And, it kind of threw a wrench into getting through a game. So it's almost like an obstacle. Pair that with the Doom game is really fun, but I'd still rather be playing Expedition 33, there's a problem there. Then you have the Oblivion Remastered, which hit over 216,000 concurrent players on Steam with a lower price point as well. That one coming through at $50 USD, just like Clair Obscur Expedition 33. And you gotta take a step back and say, well, if these games can be launching at 50 bucks a pop, why would anybody pay $70 USD for anything? Even Stellar Blade, a year-old PlayStation 5 exclusive, is now outselling the Doom the Dark Ages game on Steam. And oof, that's not great because Stellar Blade hasn't even released yet. And yeah, Stellar Blade is 10 bucks cheaper than Doom as well. Again, we keep going back to this price point of Doom being $70 being a very boneheaded decision for being very greedy, thinking that people are just ready to buy up whatever you sell because, hey, it's Doom and that's what games cost, so buy it? Gamers are out here in full force right now, voting with their wallets, and everyone seems to be in unison, sending a clear message with each other. If you're going to be charging more, the content better be worth it. But even then, it will still have hurdles. If the latest Doom game had been $50 or something like that, reception would have been extremely different. But as it stands, this Doom the Dark Ages is looking more and more like a massive turning point, not just for the Doom franchise, but the entire AAA industry in general. Again, I go back to what I started this video off saying, anyone who's anyone in an executive level in the CEOs and AAA industry looking at the situation for what it is gonna be crapping their pants thinking, oh God, gamers are actually not buying whatever we throw out there. Even if it has a massive name behind it, they're still choosing to go with other games that cost less. Almost like the free market is deciding who's gonna be successful. It's a glorious thing. Doom the Dark Ages isn't just a really fun release that stumbled at launch, it's the canary in the coal mine for the entire industry that keeps raising prices over and over and over again, while at the same time seemingly cutting features, giving less content, and expecting people just to sign up with Game Pass and own nothing and be happy. When people are not picking up that model, executives are gonna start getting pissed. Not that we should really care about them losing their jobs or losing bonuses, because at the end of the day, I look at this as a real-world gamer victory. If this trend continues and companies ignore the clear market resistance, they're setting themselves up for even more flops down the road. Not that Microsoft even cares, because while fun, like I said, the game feels more like it was made for Game Pass in mind than making a full-fledged experience that was worth the $70 price point. They weren't trying to get extra sales or do whatever they could to make sure people bought the game. They just wanted to get the game out the door and add it to Game Pass, kind of similar to how the vibe around the game Avowed went, when people were like, yeah, the game's okay, I guess, nothing great, but if it had more expansive world, better features, dynamic stories, I think people would have enjoyed that title a lot more. And again, I keep going back to Game Pass seems to be just the place where games go to die, and now Microsoft is owning all these studios, cutting content and shoving all this stuff onto Game Pass, expecting everyone just to play Game Pass and not look at anything else that's out there, because you can't just slap a $70 price point on a box and expect people to buy it up. In fact, you can't even slap it on a box because everything seems like it's digital these days anyways. And yet that's another thing that gamers are standing up to, and these companies aren't loving it. And the direction the game industry is going is not great, because the prices cannot sustain what gamers are willing to pay. Anyways, I'm going to leave it there. If you guys want more information, check out smashjt.com for the full article. I will link this in the description below. If you appreciate what I'm doing, hit that join button. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, you stay smashing.
Smash JT. Smash JT. Smash JT. Smash JT.